Hi, hello, I'm Darby. Welcome to my channel. In this wrap-up, I want to talk about 4 books I read about dropouts, slackers, losers, and women in general who are not doing very well. Because girls can be dirtbags too, and it's important to read about them. Let's get into the books. First on my list is Pretend I'm Dead by Jen Began. The main character in Pretend I'm Dead isn't a carbon copy repeat of Greta and Big Swiss, but they do rhyme. They do share some things in common. The main character of the book is Mona. She is an art school dropout who becomes a cleaning lady, and in her free time she volunteers at the local methadone clinic's needle exchange. So like Greta in Big Swiss, her profession lets her spy on the private lives of the town's very rich and privileged. And in contrast, her volunteering at the needle exchange means that she gets to understand, connect with the town's very, very poor. She meets many unsettling, odd, sometimes endearing characters as she stumbles her way towards a personal catharsis. Next on my list is Green Dot by Madeline Gray. Green Dot is about Hera, and Hera, I think, might be the most controversial person on my list. She is a deeply unserious person. If Comic Sans was a person, it would be Hera. She spent most of her adult life hiding out in academia, collecting very expensive art history degrees, all while trying to avoid the grown-up world. But finally, her debt and financial reality means that she finally has to go out and get a job. She does find a job as a content moderator at a news site, I think, and it basically confirms every cynical thought that she's ever had about the lives of grown-up people. It's boring, it's drudgery, it's absurd, it's arbitrary. But while she's there, she does meet a coworker and she starts to date him. And by the time she finds out he is married, she's already too emotionally invested in him to break up. It's a story about accidentally finding yourself to be the other woman. This book got me out of my recent reading slump. I really responded to the sense of humor, which reminds me of that kind of like the show Fleabag. I think it's important to point out that you will not like this book if you are sensitive to stories about infidelity, like obviously. But another fair criticism of the book that I've seen that I want to point out is that maybe you don't want to watch a very immature, youthfully arrogant, smug person make a lot of bad choices. Maybe that's not your idea of a good time. Next is My Husband by Maud Ventura, and this is probably my favorite book on the list. This is a complicated recommendation for me because I was stressed out the entire time I was reading it, but I could not put it down, and by the time I finished it, I loved it. It is a character study of a woman who appears to have it all. She has a husband that she adores, she has 2 kids, she's got a beautiful home, and she seems to have some standing in society. She is the picture of heteronormative success. So why is this person in my wrap-up of female dirtbags? And it's because she is deeply unhinged. She has an obsessive love for her husband that is unhealthy. It is a book that is super light on plot, but if you like books like Convenience Store Woman that go super deep on the psychology and the interior experience of a singularly unique person, I think you'll enjoy this. And finally, I want to talk about Pizza Girl by Jean Kyung Fraser. The main character is the youngest one on the list. She is 18. She's working at a pizza shop. She is still grieving over the very recent death of her father. And on top of all that, she finds out she's pregnant. She decides that the best way to escape the drama of her personal life is to pick up everyone's favorite maladaptive coping strategy and hyperfixate on a stranger. In this case, she decides to obsess over a middle-aged mom who calls into her shop one night desperately trying to find a pizza place that will deliver a cheese pizza with pickles for her son, who is on a hunger strike. This book gets a lot of love from me for depicting an Asian American character in a pretty unconventional way. The focus of the narrative isn't her challenges growing up with an immigrant mother or being biracial, and that's kind of a nice change of pace. But that said, I still only just barely finished this book. I think the content was interesting, but the connective tissue was kind of on the weaker side, and it was a struggle to finish. That does it for this week's snack. If you made it this far, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.